Hello everyone, welcome back. So we have seen introduction to the course module, and we have done with the installing the vSphere components. So where we have installed the Esxi server, installing the vCenter server, and we have also installed the vSphere client. Now next, let's get started with the software defined data center, where we were supposed to see the installation of vSphere client, which is already been covered, and the overview of Esxi servers. So installation of Esxi servers is already completed, okay, and what we are going to see here, the overview is exploring the COS, or in the other terms you can say that exploring the console of Esxi servers. So let's go ahead and get started. So here I have the vCenter server. In the previous video series you have seen how to install the vCenter server, and how do we get connected to vCenter server with the help of the vSphere client. Now once we get connected, the very next thing that we are supposed to do over here is that creating a data center. So this data center that we are going to create over here is called as the software defined data center. Now why it is called as a software defined data center? The reason behind that is not a physical data center, it's a logical data center that we are creating on the vCenter server. Now you can see here on the right hand side the diagram, the main diagram that you see over here. So you can see a data center, and it is highlighted as yellow, and the components of the data center, you can see that you got the resources, your Esxi servers, you got virtual machines, and would have the storage servers connected. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a data center first. So creating the data center is very simple. I just got to create a data center, and you can see here left hand side the data center is created. I will just name it as, let's say, my data center. So the data center is created. I highlight the data center. If I select my data center, now the next step is to add the host over here. That's nothing but adding the Esxi servers. So let's go back to the Esxi server. Let's explore the Esxi server. We'll configure it, and then we would go ahead and connect the Esxi servers over here. So you go here, login. To log in, you need to press F2. You press F2 and you come to the login console. By default, the username is root, and give the password that we had given at the time of installing the Esxi servers. Right. All right. So good to go. So configure password is the first option that you're having on the COS. So here you can see, just to change the password, you can provide your old password and you can go ahead with the new password over here. Second option that you have is configure lockdown mode, but the configure lockdown mode option is grayed out and we are not able to select that. Now first thing you need to understand is what exactly the configuration lockdown mode is, or what exactly you understand by the lockdown mode. Now lockdown mode is a mode if enabled. Lockdown mode is a mode if enabled for this Esxi server, then we will not be able to connect to this Esxi server with the help of the vSphere client. So for example, let me come back here. So what happens is we can directly get connected from vSphere client to the Esxi servers. So that is accessing the Esxi server. So that direct access is possible over here. But if the lockdown mode is enabled, if I enable the lockdown mode for this Esxi server, then I cannot connect vSphere client directly to the Esxi server. I have to go through the vCenter server only to manage the Esxi server for which the lockdown mode is enabled. So here if we see, so this option is not available as of now. So this option will be available once we add this Esxi server to the vCenter server. Configure management network. So management network is the network using which you are going to perform the entire management activities for the Esxi servers. So let me go to the network adapters first. I've got one network adapter, all good to go. VLANs. So if you're working with the Esxi servers, you must be already aware about the VLAN option, so I'm not going to explain you this. IPv4 configuration. So I'd go here. There are three different options available. You want to disable IPv4, you want to use a dynamic address, or you would like to set a static address for this ESXi. So let's go ahead with the static address. Can use the down arrow keys and let me configure the IP. Say 192.168.1.3 is the IP that I'm configuring here. Again the down arrow key 255.255.255.0 and the default gateway I'm just giving it as 1. Enter. IPv6 if you would like to have, you can have it. DNS configuration wherever your DNS server is available. So my DNS server is available at 1.1 and alternate DNS is not available. So host name I will just call it as ESXi 1. Enter, escape, Y, and that is saved. Restarting the management network. So it will just like restarting the services of your network adapter. Test management network is to check the ping option. So let's see whether the communication is happening or not. So if the communication happens, it just says okay. If the communication is not happening, it will just say directly failed. Now here you see that the resolving the host name is failed. The reason behind that is the DNS is not updated with the entry of this ESXi server. Let's go with OK. Network restore options would just restore your network adapters to the defaults, whatever changes we have done on the network adapter. Configure keyboard is just to change your keyboard layout. So here if you see there is a US default is the keyboard that has been selected. So if you would like to change that, you can do it. Troubleshooting options. So here you got Esxi Shell, that is the Esxi command line. SSH is all about your secure socket. So here you can configure them. So if you would like to enable SSH, you can just hit enter and it is enabled. Whenever you enable SSH, you need Esxi Shell, you need to enable the SSH also. And here is the idle timeout. So here what generally happens is if I would like to access this Esxi server, if I want to access this Esxi server using any of the SSH tools, then in that case I need to enable this, and the idle timeout would be once I'm connected to the Esxi server. Once I have connected to the Esxi server, later on if I'm doing nothing, I'm sitting idle. So by default it would I can set up the auto logout time. So by default is here 10 seconds is the auto logout time. Restarting the management agent, that is the management services of Esxi server, will be restarted here. Just checking for the logs, your system information overview, and this is the resetting your Esxi servers. Just go with escape to log out and you can see the IP address is configured here. Now we are back to the vCenter server and let's see how exactly do we add it. So I go with add host and IP address of the Esxi server. Username would be root by default and the password that we have given. Says accept these security agreements. Just go with yes. As license, we don't have a license as of now, so we just go with the evaluation mode. Lockdown mode, as I told you, the lockdown mode will be available. The option will be available once it is added to the vCenter server. Go with next, next, and finish. So let's see. So it's showing us disconnected because you can see here adding the host in the taskbar. Once it is 100% completed, you will be able to see the Esxi servers connected over here. So it would take quite some time to get added up. So here you can see the Esxi server is added, but you see there is a yellow exclamation mark over here. Now, why is that so? That's because of there is no network adapter redundancy available. That's the first reason. Second reason is we have enabled the Esxi shell and the SSH is being enabled. The second reason, and third reason is the centralized data store. Centralized storage is not added. So you can see here Esxi shell for the host has been enabled. So if I just go back here to my Esxi service, let me just log in. I see the second option is available now, as I told you. So I'll go to the troubleshooting options, disable the shell and disable the SSH. So you can see now it's gone. So this is how we go ahead and access the Esxi servers and configuring your software defined data centers. So next we are going to work around with creating the virtual machines. So in the next session we'll study about creating the virtual machines. Thank you.